Welcome to our webinar from idea to execution, starting your own business with Mr. Daniel Bonello, and our course advisors are there, Ridhiman and Nishant. So I'm just sharing my screen. Please do let me know if my screen is not visible. Yes. So we have Daniel here. He's our lecturer, MBA in entrepreneurship. Over to you, Daniel, for a small introduction.
Thanks so much. So myself, Daniel Bonello, I am one of the lecturers at GBS Malta in the MBA on entrepreneurship. So my input is mainly in guiding students through a number of modules, mostly around strategy, but also around managing entrepreneurial ventures. So that is mainly my input that I provide at GBS physically in Malta. However, as well, apart from lecturing on a private steam, I am a management consultant, a sole trader, a self-employed management consultant, mostly in the sphere of SME, small and medium sized enterprises. So it is not just the theory that we bring into the courses, but also elements of practice. So that in a nutshell is my background in terms of expertise and what I do at GBS Malta.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. Now we have our course advisor, Nishant. Over to you for a small introduction.
Hello, very good morning, everyone. My name is Nishant. I'm the course advisor at GBS Malta. I would be handling each queries of the applicants who wants to take the admissions and get the visas. So I would be helping you with the queries you want to know. And I hope it would be a very interactive session. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, Nishant. Now we have Dhridiman. He's one of our course advisor at GBS Malta. Over to you, Dhridiman.
Hello everyone, this is Dhritiman Das, and I'm also one of the course advisor working with the student recruitment team, direct student recruitment team. So I also help, I'm a colleague to Nishant, and I also help in guiding all our students from end-to-end process, starting from the application to the visa documentation and helping them get their visas booked at the VFA centers. So we will be presenting today's we'll be conducting today's presentation. I will be conducting a little part about our institute. We'll be handing over to Mr. Daniel for the insights on the MBA entrepreneurship, and then my colleague Nishant will be handling the question answers at the end.
Yes. Thank you, Dhridiman. Now I'm just sharing my screen to the next slide. I hope my screen is shared, and for you, Dhridiman.
Yes. So at GBS Malta, we are a higher education institution. We work closely with one of our partner university, UK-based partner university, Batspa University. We have our in-house MBA programs as well. We are part of the GEDU network, which is a leading organization that provides quality education to over more than 60,000 students across 12 countries. And we have wonderful faculty members for the different courses. They are industry professionals themselves. And we have one of our lecturers with us today, Mr. Daniel. And we will provide the students the understanding from the practical point of view, where they can help, where it will help them to pave their career pathways into the senior leadership roles.
Great. Thank you, Dhridiman. Now we have our main speaker, Daniel. Over to you.
So thank you very much for the introductions, and it's actually very exciting to follow one of the courses at the GBS Malta, mainly in an entrepreneurship, because ultimately, albeit mainly taking an entrepreneurial journey could be one where people say, is there a matter of luck? But really and truly, there is lots of thought, lots of planning, lots of insights, lots of lessons learned that we take by observing what's happening around us. So the idea is that, just like in our courses, what I'll be taking you through the webinar is mainly what's the typical entrepreneurial journey, very, very high level. So it is just like planting that seed, again, giving that seed the water so that it grows and we reap the fruit. It becomes a fully fledged organization, an entrepreneurial venture which output that bring value into society ultimately, okay? That will provide a return to the entrepreneur, which usually is in terms of profit. One would say, is this course of let's say professional career good for everybody? Well, everybody can try it, and there needs to be an element of skill set or an element of knowledge. So we will try to understand very quickly if you can get what it takes to become an entrepreneur. Now, maybe one of the biggest tools or lessons we can take from, for example, project management is when they say, if you fail to plan, you're only planning to fail. So, and that still applies for the entrepreneur and the entrepreneurial venture. So over time, there have been tools to a certain degree that throughout a course one will get to get the taste of and the understanding, where an entrepreneur can plan his own entrepreneurial venture, use it as a measure, use it as a springboard for success in going forward. Okay, and ultimately then we'll see what it takes to like an entrepreneurship. So can we please go into the next slide?
Yes.
So as I kindly hinted, this is basically an entrepreneurial outset. There are structures, there's a strategy framework. However, in order to set up a strategy framework, we have to start from the knowledge on how to develop this mindset. Okay, and then how we build these frameworks all together and become in themselves an organization that will be in itself an entrepreneurial venture. As we hinted, there's our skill sets. There needs to be an element of ownership, leadership, resilience in order to take forward this entrepreneurial venture, because ultimately what you see on the screen is that we are operating in a dynamic environment. It's very easy to plan where things are not moving around you, but truth being that an entrepreneurial venture isn't working by itself on its own in a bubble. In reality, it's working within an environment where there are things that are within its control to build, but in reality, there are lots of forces coming both internally and externally that will impact the course and the development of that entrepreneurial venture. So it is very good to understand what's happening within and outside, so that in the meantime there's always counter forces to make sure that you're balancing and also steering the ship in the right direction. So that is the outset. It's a good understanding to understand that you won't be alone. There will be forces that will push you forward, and there will be also forces that will be pushing, if not by the side, also against you. And then you have to make sure that you're able to take this forward. Maybe the best image I can put into this is maybe you're on a boat. Sometimes there are waves that are pushing you forward and pushing you towards the destination you want to get to. And sometimes actually you're going to get waves that are pushing from in front of you. So you might need to put in more force into your engine to go through those waves until you get into your desired destination. So this is the entrepreneurial outset that one can kind of have a taste of how we go through this even through the course. Can we please go into our next slide? So as we said, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And this is exactly a journey. A journey, as maybe I put in figuratively, a journey of going onto a ship, but it is always a journey somewhere has to start. As we said, even in the introduction, it starts maybe by planting a seed, a first step. But what does that take to grow? Maybe at the first step of the journey, you know where you want to get to. The biggest question you have in a journey of 1,000 miles is how I will get there. What will I come across until I get there? Okay? When I will get there is at the end of the journey or potentially a start of a bigger journey. Okay, so while this Chinese proverb is very significant, it is nonetheless very indicative that a journey could be a continued journey. It's what you want to make out of this journey. Okay? But most important in this proverb is that you start, because if we please can move into the next slide, a typical journey in the very, very high level is that starts with the idea, then you have to do elements of business planning, and then you need to execute. Okay. The first step is usually the idea. There are countless ideas out there. The problem is that we usually stop at those ideas. Okay. I mean, we just passed New Year. How many of us have done our resolutions? There are probably ideas that we would want to give ourselves to be a better version of ourselves throughout the year. What do we want to change? What do we want to improve on ourselves? But sometimes they remain an idea. Okay? So you need to put into energy into it to make sure that the idea is actually going into fruition. However, things don't just happen by themselves. The next step is actually business planning. The element of planning, and maybe the most important is the word used over there, is not a business plan by itself, because the business plan represents the idea, represents maybe a feel on how you're going to tackle the journey. But in reality, planning will go into a little bit more detail into how you want to execute. Maybe in the first slide I spoke about a framework of strategies. Okay? When you build an organization, we'll see later on, we'll have a taste of, for example, building structures. Those structures all need to have their own strategies pointing towards the strategic vision of the same organization, which is linked to the idea. Okay? And that is where then tasks come out to execute. Okay, so this is the very high level elements of a journey. We'll spend just a couple of minutes going into these three individual steps, because this is what we will be covering usually in a typical MBA program in entrepreneurship. So can we please go into the next slide? So here we're having a bit of a taste of what is the ideation, the idea. Is any idea good for an entrepreneurial, or at least structures to be built around it? It is difficult to say just, quickly yes or no, but what is very curious is how actually, if we see what successful ventures bring around, how they came about. So what was the idea behind them? And usually there are two elements which come in common. On the one hand, there is a pain point. Maybe there is a new need, okay, out there in society. Maybe currently, I don't know, there is a service, and very often people feel that it's taking too long. They would like to engage with a service or with a good, but the performance or the good or service is not to the optimal, let's say, satisfaction of the consumers. So there is a need to actually address how to provide a good or service, and that could be an idea how to improve, okay, on how to provide an alternate good or service which is more attuned to the needs of customers. Let's be frank. An entrepreneurial venture is somebody who is supplying against the need of a customer. Somebody wants something, now it's either already readily available, or else if someone wants something and it's not readily available, it is where you are addressing a pain point. You make sure that it is available. I don't know, there could be a product which could be, I don't know, supplied in a particular area of the world, but not to another. So you might be, bringing it to new places in the world. That could be an entrepreneurial venture, because you'll find out that there is the need for it elsewhere in the world. Okay? But on the other hand, the other element why an idea could come up is because of innovation. Now, when we ask ourselves what innovation, usually we go, okay, an idea which is groundbreaking, a mega big idea that ultimately, is going to disrupt a market and take over, or somehow is going to revolutionize how we do things. That is innovation, of course, but sometimes innovation is much more subtle. Sometimes innovation is how you produce something yet you produce it much more efficiently. You bring a new concept, a new dimension into a product, and you make people aware, consumers, that there are new needs, or there are needs around. If you can do things differently, you can come up with the same output or even with increased value. Okay? So sometimes innovation is not wrapped only around something which is like a big bang, something which is massive, which causes a revolution or big ripple effect, but in reality it could be a something which is silent, which is small, which you're polishing around the edges, but you're giving a different dimension to things that we are already knowing or exploiting. Okay? So the idea sometimes comes that you need to address something, or you're bringing something of new value into a food chain. Okay? So how do we get into these ideas? Sometimes it's by brainstorming or observing around us, or by conducting research as well, okay? Asking people, are things working out the way you want? What is it that you need? Obviously, within a particular ambit, within a particular sphere. So, this is a very important, because this is where we're planting the seed. Somebody understanding that there is a need, or understanding that things can be done in a different way. Okay, so this is where the ideas are usually born. If we can pass on to the next slide, please. So now we are taking this business planning and starting to understand the how we're going to undertake this journey. Okay, we usually start off by a mission and a vision. Okay, nonetheless, it's very important, and this is one of the very important lectures that we give, is that a mission and a vision, fine, it has to be, that guiding star. But as well, it needs to be realistic. It needs to be attainable. You need to tie an objective. And usually an objective, when you tie it to your mission, to your vision, we have to make sure that this is quantifiable. Okay? So, let's say, for example, in 3 years, I would like to be the primary supplier of a particular good in a particular market. Okay, so you're defining what product, by which time, and in which space. Okay, it has to be that, because any underlying strategy need to focus that within that time frame you will have to produce, or to a certain degree provide that good or service as you have originally set. Okay, now it gives yourself already a sense of dimension. And that is where then you need to align your vision with your goals and cascade those to make sure that you are well prepared. So what could be the key components? You have to make market research. You have to make sure that you have financial projections and the marketing strategy that align to your vision and your goals that we just mentioned. So it starts with an idea, and then you build a whole plan how you're going to transform that idea into a journey that will get you to where you want. But now, until now, this is still at concept stage, at planning stage, and the more you know about what could be those elements that would render you successful, the best way then you are in doing then your first step into the execution. Can we go into the next slide, please? So the next step is the execution. So you need to set up your systems, you need to set up your structures, okay? And maybe important to adapt, because as you are executing, things are going to change, okay? There are challenges like you need to address, like cultural and regulatory challenges as you go along. But before running, let's take the first step. The first step is usually making sure, and then we might attach ourselves to theory. Usually one of my favorite theories is around McKinsey 7S framework, but it has 3 hard components. Okay, 3 hard components. They start with the letter S, and 4 soft ones. Those 3 hard ones are key. I have hinted at them in these slides that I went along. So one is strategy, the other is structures, and the third are systems. When these 3 are working in harmony, you are well set then to undertake your journey. So if you have your structures, maybe you're going to start off as an individual trader or as an SME with only a handful of employees. So you need to set up your structures to make sure that if you are producing something, you have a production line, you have a sales component, you have somebody who is overseeing the financial side of things. Maybe you have the sales function that needs to a certain degree have different channels. Okay, so then you need the systems, the strategies that will ultimately make sure that you're always pointing to that ultimate goal. Okay, that in a nutshell, of course, how you need to set yourself, and all of this tastes of investment. So sometimes before you are reaping money back, you have to fork out quite a lot of money in advance to make sure that you have a suitable setup that will make you into that journey. Now, going one step back, that journey, if we have set ourselves in being a 3-year journey, you have to make sure that you are also capable and you have that strength, that resilience to grow organically. So an unrealistic plan would be one where we make ourselves believe that we can do it all at once and be successful as from day one. It is likely that first we need to build that muscles, we need to learn as we go along, improve, grow organically, and then start building on top of that until you reach your goal. The most important part of this slide is, however, that word adaptability. Because as we said in our example in the beginning of the ship that sometimes has to go through waves, it might be more efficient for the engine of that ship that you go a bit sideways so that you feel less the resistance, ultimately that going at full force into that motion of the waves, meaning the resistance. Maybe you need to sail around the storm so that you manage to get into your port or destination. So that is usually how we go, and then we go dig deep into these elements. So this is by way of journey. Can we please go into the next slide? So what skill set do you need as an entrepreneur? What the skill set to make sure that you can manage through the idea, transforming that into a bit of planning, or actually quite an element of planning and then executing it. So first of all, apart from the vision, always having an eye on the future, you also need to be a good leader, because if you're going to set up structures, people around you, you need to inspire these people. You need to inspire the management team or people who are executing on your behalf. Okay. Also, a very important component is you need to be a good evaluator of risk, because ultimately, as I was hinting, there's quite a big amount of risk when you start the execution journey, because ultimately you're going to put a lot up front and not necessarily give you the returns while you are going through the journey. Hence, while at the center of the slide, you're seeing a component about resilience. How much strength, how much stamina do you have? And the more you know about your financial power, the knowledge about how you're going to reap return, the more you know about your resilience. Okay? And the third element, which is good for you to know about what sets up a good, let's say, knowledge to be a good entrepreneur, is organizational planning. So again, point your structures to facilitate your vision. Okay? Around it, as we said, there's an element of resilience, and that gives you the courage to grow and be a success. If you try to reap those results prior to when they are due to mature, then you're likely to have a very slow resilience or low resilience, and you run out of breath before you make it towards the end of the line. See it as a marathon. If you go out and sprint, you're likely to get tired very easily and then suffer throughout the journey. But if you pace yourself, you're a better position to ultimately keep on growing, grow that stamina, and make a success out of that. If we can move on to the next slide, please. We mentioned around tools. So we mentioned as well there are elements that are within our control and elements which are not within our control. So we're through our journey, and there are things that are actually working either in our favor or against us. I mentioned the word luck in the beginning. It could be there are elements of luck that push us through a storm, but ultimately there are things that work against. So a good entrepreneur takes on a number of tools in order to see what could be those elements, those risk elements that we need to dribble around. And Pastel is a tool whereby any organization or any entrepreneur understands the space that they are working in, and they then see it within the context of the political environment they are working in. Maybe there are elements of funding that can help. Maybe, on the other end, there are new tax policies that will make your entrepreneurial less profitable, making your financial journey a little bit more challenging. Then you might need to take some policy decisions thereafter. Economy. If the economy is a growing economy, or if it is you're operating into an economic area which is saturated. So you are coming in with an idea, but you're going to operate within a space which is already let's say, well equipped, so to speak. Then there are other elements, social. Maybe you are doing something which is based on I don't know, internet, so it's internet based, but you're operating which is a sphere where demographics are usually, people are of a certain age. Are those people attuned to get the product the way you're presenting it to them? Okay. Technology. Are you leveraging the right level of technology? It can help, but it can also be a detractor. The environment, also the legal element. Okay, so these are all elements that are external to your organization that can either help you or else, to a certain degree, be that force which works against you. Okay, so this is a tool that the more you know about these elements, a guidance, the better prepared you are to then act accordingly as things are developing. They can help with foresight, and they can help with taking mitigating actions when it starts to get a little bit challenging. Can we move to the next slide, please? Another tool is usually SWOT analysis. So this is a mix between understanding your organization from the door inwards. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Strengths could be elements of expertise, as much as it can be a weakness. Maybe you're operating in a highly technical area and you have a structure, and somehow you have a cultural problem and your technical people are going to competition. Maybe you're not providing the right level of human resource support by way of wages or so on and so forth. So you start to understand your own ability, your own strengths, your own weaknesses. So you build on the strengths and you address the weaknesses. Then there are external components that tie into the Pastel tool that we just saw, threats and opportunities. Okay, so what could be a threat? There are new competitors competing with my idea, other people wanting to ride on my initial idea and even take it a step further. Okay, what could be the opportunities? Maybe, as we said, while setting up in a particular area, the government of that country might provide incubators, might help out with the research and development of your product. Okay, so it's good to know that by having tools at hand, you can always tap in to make sure that you maximize on the potential of your organization and translating that idea into something of benefit. Next slide, please. So what's the foundation stone? The foundation stone is the business plan. So this is just taking us one step back. This, to a certain degree, gives us a bit of a summary of what we are saying so far. So the business plan is you have your idea of strategy. How are you going to fund? Knowing who is your consumer is very important. Okay. What are your expenses? The market you operate and what are the forces in those markets? How you're going to sell, how you're going to bring your good or service close to the consumer, the forecast. So you need to have always an eye on the future, when you're going to increase your sales, when you're going to expand your product or your product range, okay, and your entrepreneurial skill set, okay. Make sure that you have a good understanding of how resilient you are and your growth path. Okay, so that's your foundation stone. That's your business plan, your foresight. The most important, however, is not just the plan, but the planning. How you're going to translate all of this into action. Okay? Maybe we're going to go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so why look at entrepreneurship ultimately? Okay, so because you need to have a critical understanding of what entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial ventures do. Okay, and this is how an MBA course can help you acquire that knowledge and understanding of how individuals and organizations make sure that opportunities eventually are there to be taken and transform them. So you take control of that idea. Okay? We see the mechanisms, the tools, and appreciate and value the contribution on the entrepreneurship that it has on the broader element of both the organization and the outcomes. So entrepreneurship is in itself a platform. As I said, are you born to be an entrepreneur? Maybe there is a sixth sense and people are more apt. But definitely there is a lot of knowledge. The more you know about how to go about entrepreneurship, the more you are best placed then eventually as individuals to take on an entrepreneurial venture. Okay? I understand. We can move on to the next slide, please. So I understand that is, in a nutshell, the element of how we can bring an idea into fruition. So it's literally a journey and building into something more concrete.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for such an informative session. Now we have Dhridiman who will take over from here.
Sure. Thank you, Daniel, for the wonderful session. I hope all our students were pretty much privileged to have this session. So I'll explain you about the admissions process at our institute. It's pretty simple. You can, to apply at GBS Malta, you can visit our website, gbs.edu.mt. And then once you visit the website, you can apply for the application. You'll get a call from our student advisor. One of our advisors will call you. They'll guide you with your required set of documents, all the academic documents and the other documents regarding your English proficiency, SOP and everything. And then we will be coordinating with the admissions team to review your documents and then get you the offer letter. We can move on to the next slide. So at GBS, like the MBA program for the entrepreneurship and the other 4 MBA programs that we have for MBA project management, MBA management consulting, then MBA in global investment banking, and your MBA entrepreneurship, we have the scholarships available for the different national students. For the visa required nationals, we are currently taking the admissions open for the May and October 2025 intake, where you would be awarded either up to 30% of scholarship. And for the visa-free nationals, those who are from the EU region or the European nationalities, currently we are open for the February intake as well as for the May and October intake as well. For February intake, we are having this month as the last deadline to apply for the applications and get you the offer. So we have 40% scholarship up for grab for the February intake for EU nationals, and going forward with the May and October intake, we have 25% up for grab for the scholarship. So you can hurry up in filling up the applications and get yourself enrolled. We can move on to the next slide. So as discussed, we have 3 intakes in a year. We have the February intake, we have the May intake, and we have the October intake that we're currently taking the admissions for. The next slide, please. Okay, let me give you an idea about what are the documents you need to submit at the first stage to get your offer letter. As I discussed, you need to have your valid passports. The validity must be beyond the study period. So our MBA programs are for 1 year duration. So if, say, for example, you're applying for the May 2025 intake, then your passport must be valid till the end beyond May 2026 to be a valid passport. Otherwise, you'll have to get it renewed. So the passport is required. We need the latest qualification certificates and transcripts. You have to sit for the English proficiency test like IELTS, Duolingo, or Pearson's test of English. Some of the international students coming from the West African countries like Nigeria and Ghana are exempted, provided they provide the English proficiency documents submitted from their graduating universities that the medium of instruction was in English. And then we need a personal statement describing your main intent to study at GBS Malta, why you have chosen the course, for example, MBA entrepreneurship. How do you think this program is going to meet your objectives at the end of the course, right? So you can describe it in essay format and you can submit it. The word limit should be around 400 words. Okay. And in case if any of the student has a study gap or has been working for more than 3 years now, they'll also have to provide the CV. Next slide, please. Okay, that's all regarding the application process. It's pretty simple. I hope you have understood the application process well. So going forward, right now I'm handing over to Nishant to handle the question answers you must be having, if any. So I hand over to Nishant.
Yes. Nishan, we have few questions in the chat. I'll just read it up on. We have one student, Apola, who have asked for one question. Good day. Can I make my studies remote from Romania, or it is required to locate in Malta?
First of all, thank you so much, Daniel, for such an interactive session. Thanks for bringing all the experiences. It was a wonderful session from Daniel. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dhritiman, as well, for explaining the admission process. Coming on to the question from the applicant, we are offering online programs as well. You can study from Romania. We have online programs for our intake in February, May, and October 25. So you can take classes sitting in Romania.
Yes. Next question. It's appreciation for Daniel. That was a wonderful session. Good afternoon from here. Please, can the slides be sent to my email as I am on site at the moment for work, but still I'm interested. Thanks.
So definitely this session would be available on YouTube, I guess. Shweta, please let the applicant know for the same. And you can just share, if you have any queries, you can share the queries on inquiries@gbs.edu.mt. We would be suggesting you for the further steps as well.
Sure, I will update it over there. Another one query from one of a student, Gift. I have applied for more than 2 times and no response or feedback up till now, and I'm applying for the May intake. Here is my email address, so I'll just send the email address to you, Dhritiman and Nishant, so you guys can follow up on that. Another question, what is the program fee that we have for MBA?
Okay, so we have 5 MBA programs with specialization. MBA in project management, MBA in marketing management, MBA in management consulting, MBA in global investment banking, and MBA in entrepreneurship. The total fee of the program is 10,000 euros, and we are offering scholarships as well. We are offering scholarships up to 30%. That makes the tuition fee 7,000 euros.
Yes. Another question, one from another student, Mensa. Please, what will happen when I gain admission but my visa process delayed?
No worries. We have a dedicated visa team, in-house visa team, who will assist you for the visa process as well. So you don't need to worry about anything. Once you make a deposit, complete your tuition fee, your case would be handling by the visa team. They will assist you for the visa process, and I guess there wouldn't be any late.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next question is from Familicy. Please, how do I get a full study loan? I just got an admission for an MBA program. I'm in Nigeria.
I'm extremely sorry, Mensa. We are not providing any financial support. You can reach out to your banks locally, and they can help you for helping you with the loans and everything. We are here to help you and assist you for the process. However, for the financial support, you need to reach out to your concerned bank.
Another question from Ambali. I have higher national diploma in accounting from Nigeria. What options do I have?
So basically, to go for a master's program, you should have at least 5 years of diploma program, 2 years of national diploma, 2 years of higher national diploma, and 1 year of post-graduation diploma. However, if you're not having post-graduation diploma, you should have 4 years of bachelor's degree, right? So basically, if you don't have these two options, we have a bachelor's program, but in bachelor's program, we have an age criteria. So we need to check your eligibility criteria first, then only we can suggest you for which program you can go for.
Okay. Another question from Olu. Could you please explain the scholarship opportunities at GBS Malta?
So once you share your documents, your educational documents and every documents with our student recruitment team, they will verify, they will make your application and they will verify with the admissions team, and then you will get a scholarship up to 30%. So 30% is the scholarship which we are offering.
Okay. Yes, these are the few questions that we have so far. If anyone have any more questions, please post in the chat. We are happy to help. We have Nishant, Ridiman, and Daniel to answer the questions for you in the next 10, 15 minutes. What are the documentations required for the visa processing?
So we have at least 25 documents which you need to share it with our visa team. Once you make the deposit, tuition fee deposit, your advisor will share you the checklist and the visa team will also share you the checklist which you need to share it with our team. Once you share all those documents, it would be verified by our visa team. So there are 25 documents which you need to share with our visa team.
Okay. Another question from Marianne. Could you please explain about the refund policy? Can I get a full refund?
So, suppose if you don't get a visa, your money would be refunded back to you. Only 200 euros would be deducted as an administrative cost, and the remaining tuition fee would be refunded back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Another question from Philip. What is the accommodation fee for a month and the living expense?
So, for the accommodation fee, it is approximately 620 euros, and on that, we have 2.25% charges as a homepage charge. That makes approximately 640 to 645 euros for a month.
Okay. Another question, please. How soon will the admission team will get in touch after submission?
So basically what happens once you submit your documents with our course advisors or student recruitment team, they will make your application and your documents would be verified in next 24 hours. So usually you can get your update in next 24 hours once you make your application.
Okay. Another question from Mensa. Please, I have gained admission for the February intake and have submitted all my documents to the embassy, but I'm yet to receive a feedback. What will happen when they don't issue the visa in time?
So basically there are many applicants who haven't received the visa decision as of now. So Mensa, you need to wait patiently, right? And if you will not get the visa on time, we will schedule classes for you wherein you can cover up the remaining session.
Okay, great. Another question. I'm just checking. Yes. Could you please explain the refund policy once again, Nishant?
So basically, the refund policy is that once you get a visa refusal, you will share that visa refusal to our visa team. They will share you a refund form wherein you would be filling all your details, that in which account you want to have that money and what money you shared with them, right? Then it usually takes around 30 to 45 days as it is an international transfer, and you will get your refund. Only 200 euros, 200 euros would be deducted as an administrative cost, and the remaining tuition fee would be refunded back to you.
Okay. Yes, another question from a gift who have already applied. I applied since last week and up till now, the admission team has not get in touch and I am bothered because I don't want to delay in my visa processing.
No worries, gift. You can just write a mail to enquiries@gbs.edu.mt. We will reach you in next 1 hour. Please write a mail to us. We will definitely reach you in 1 hour.
I will send a chat as well, the email ID. Another query that we have from Philip, what will I be able to pay my accommodation fee and living expenses with the 20 hours a week?
Definitely. So basically what happens once you reach down to Malta, you would be applying for a TRC card, that is temporary residence card, which will allow you to work for 20 hours per week. So if you're working as a part-timer, it totally depends upon the skill set you have and the designation for which you would be applying in that 20 hours. So the minimum is 8 euros per hour, but it totally depends upon the job which you are doing. So you can earn as much as you want. There are no
Okay,
foundations.
great. Thank you, Nishant. Another question. I like food. Will I get good food in Malta?
Definitely, Malta has a very good vibe. You can just come to Malta. We have a wonderful beach here, wherein you can party as well.
Okay. Yes. So far, these are the questions that we have. We are waiting for more. Could you explain all pathways of we have for MBA in GBS Malta?
Okay, so basically, we provide many options in GBS Malta. First, we have two diploma programs: diploma in business management and diploma in IT skills. Then we have a bachelor's program, which is for 3 years. Then we have MA Business and Management program, which is affiliated from Batspa University. Then we have a program of MA Marketing and Brand Management, which is also affiliated with Batspa University, BSU. And then we have 5 MBA programs with the specialization. The 5 MBA programs is: first is MBA in Project Management, second is MBA in Entrepreneurship, third is MBA in Marketing Management, fourth is MBA in Global Investment Banking, and fifth is MBA in Management Consulting. So these are the programs with which we are offering in GBS Malta.
Great. Yes. Yeah, we have another question. Okay. The 70% in Nigeria currency is how much?
I am
I'm
extremely
not,
sorry, I'm
even
not
I
able
am
to
not
get this
sure.
question.
Yes. So,
So,
Marian, if you can
yeah.
explain the question once again in the chat, it will be good.
So basically, as per what I understand, the total fee is 10,000 euros, and we are offering 30% of the scholarship. That makes the tuition fee 7,000 euros. So 7,000 euros is the amount which you need to pay to start with your visa process.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, these are the questions so far we have received in the chat. Yes, another
Sorry to
question.
interrupt.
Yes.
I thought that like the student was asking about the conversion amount of 7,000 euros that she has to pay.
Oh,
That is close to around 11.2 million naira.
okay, fine. Another question. I have read a lot from school, so many interesting things about GBS. How easy it will be gain knowledge and experience from my studies?
So basically, when you plan for your overseas education, and especially in Europe, we have the mindset that we need to make the applicant understand in such a way that they gain the practical knowledge, right? So basically, we are more towards we are more into providing the practical knowledge to our applicants. That's why we allow our applicants to do a part-time as well. So having the practical approach towards your education will help you to gain many opportunities in Malta as well as in Europe.
Great. Another question. Do you mean the 30% scholarship is for all applicants?
We are offering 30% of the scholarship. It totally depends upon the country as well as the educational background of the applicants. But we try that each and every applicant should get at least 30% of the scholarship.
Great. Yes. Another question is from Marianne itself. So she is asking, how much am I supposed to pay? Could you please explain once again? I think Tridiman, she just want to know once again how much she need to pay for the course.
Yeah.
For
See,
yeah.
regarding the MBA program, as she is offered a 30% scholarship. So after the scholarship, the final fee for the full year will be 7,000 euros. That is close to around 11.2 million naira in her currency. So for the MBA program, it is advised to pay in full before she moves to the campus, because otherwise it's from the embassy that is being directed. For MBA programs, the full fee has to be submitted. So until and unless that is not submitted, the visa process will not be completed. And just to ensure that the visa booking is done, the VFS appointment is booked, the full fee for the MBA program needs to be deposited before the VFS appointment booking.
Great. Yes. these are the questions so far we have received. Nishant and Riddhiman and Daniel, just waiting for more questions. Meanwhile, please feel free to email us at enquiries@gbs.edu.mt.
Shweta, we have a slide after this question answer slide. I believe we can show that.
Okay, just a minute. Yes. Thank you, Riddhiman. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes. How much I'm supposed? Yes, we have covered all the questions that was already posted by the students in the chat. Yes, one more question. I just sent a mail, a gift. Have sent an email already to Nishant and Riddhiman. Hope to get a response soon. Thank you for your time. Yes, we will get back.
Sure
Yes.
gift. Sorry to interrupt, Shweta. Sure gift. One of the counselors would be just coming to you in next 1 hour.
Great. That is a quick response, Nishant. Another question. I have a third class degree. Will this help me?
So first we need to check your documents. So you need to share the documents first, and then we would be looking. However, there is no foundations, but still we need to see the education background of the applicant. Then only we can move ahead with the application process.
Yes. So I will share the email ID of Philip to Nishant. Philip, so Nishant can communicate all other further informations with you about the documentation process and everything. Yes. These are the questions so far, and if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us in the chat section, or please email us at enquiries@gbs.edu.mt, which was already displayed, and we have our contact details as well. Please visit our website at gbs.edu.mt